All right, so welcome. We are going to try to fix or address what might be causing the warning message in the previous code cell that we ran. So in the previous video, we imported some custom data that was a really small CSV file. There were some comments in there we wanted to ignore, and then we wanted to override the heuristic that was used to determine the column types, and we wanted to force the column that we named numeric to be a double. We wanted to force the column that we named date to be a date. And the result of this first command, I got a warning message that I can see right here. But this is not a crash, so the code worked okay. It's just saying we some transformation occurred when it ran this command, and as a result, okay, here's the data frame that was created. And let's identify what the problem that happened is. So this is saying there were some problems that might have occurred. Question 5 is asking me to identify what the problems were and then correct them. So step 1, you can't correct the problem until we know what it is. So we can do problem. The data frame is called df. Problems, excuse me. And now it's telling me we fixed some prior problems before in a previous video with question mark and hello. It treated these as missing values, and we wanted to avoid getting that message every time. So we just entered those ourselves to say, treat these as missing values. Now what I can see is it's saying in row 5, column 1, it expected a logical. So a 1, a 0, a T, an F, a true, or a false. But what it got was a blank. And so it didn't know what to do with that blank. So it assigned it to an NA. That's a very reasonable thing to do. So it guessed correctly and created a data frame. So really, there's nothing for us to fix. I just want to emphasize that this worked correctly. Our data frame was created. If I wanted that empty space, that blank, to be a missing value, then this did exactly what I wanted it to do. But I do have a warning message here. So maybe we don't want that warning message. So I'm going to copy this code cell, place it down here. And what I can do is add this to my list of NA values. And I just want to point out a really subtle thing here. And that is the default values for read CSV is that NA is equal to, it does missing value and NA. So those, if I didn't enter any argument for NA, any values that are blank or coded correctly with N, capital A, those would get coded with correctly and NA as a missing value when you do the import. Down here, where are we? So up here, I defined my NA argument as question mark and hello. So this overrides the default. And so when I override the default, it means if I actually had any NAs that were coded correctly as a capital N, capital A, it's no longer going to treat those as NAs. So it's always good to put those back in, because I just removed that default option. And I also want to add back in the blank value. And so now let me run this. So this is going to ignore the comment, change the column types, as well as fix any issues with these weird ways of encoding missing values. So now when I ran this code, I do not get any warnings about what was created. So that's awesome. And here we can see that this was treated as a logical. My numeric is now being treated as a numeric. That question mark that was in the last row was converted to an NA. This missing value in this last row was converted to an NA. This string of hello in this last row was also converted to an NA. And now there were no issues with this date column being treated as a date. And I believe it would do both of these conversions to the column types just fine right now. So if I actually take that command out, I don't think it's going to change anything. It still created this as a double and still read this as a date. But when I remove the column type argument, this tells me, I get output that tells me what the column types are. When I specify the column types, notice I don't get output that tells me what the column types are, but if I print the data frame, I can see what they are. Okay, so that is a break for this question, and we'll continue on talking about column types in the next video. Thanks, everybody.